Hello, Julia and Anne. Glad you are here.
Hi.
Hi. I think we're probably going to see some folks dropping in here. So, sorry, I'm already having a small technical glitch. I am going to take just a moment here to reset. Okay, we're going to do a quick 2 minutes of history. And before we do that, I want to just shift a couple of windows around here. Okay. Again, something very strange is happening, which is, one of those things. Hooray for technology. There we go. We're going to do a quick 2 minutes of history. People admin people admin has been around for a little while. Nope, that's not right. Apologize one more time here. Okay, now we're in the right place. People Admin is COCC's human resource information system, and COCC began using People Admin in 2008. Employees hired after 2008 know People Admin is a software they use to apply for a position, and for many years, People Admin's applicant tracking system was the primary module that we used. In 22 and 23, COCC invested in expanding and improving our People Admin usage and added new functionality and new modules. One of the new modules is the People Admin Performance Management module. Now you're going to notice that I said performance management. It is actually more robust than what we're going to be using it for. We're primarily using it for performance evaluations. In short, while People Admin is not new to COCC, some modules are new and were added to help HR and the college achieve strategic goals and outcomes. One of those outcomes is to have a positive impact on COCC's commitment to employee learning and growth and supporting colleagues. You'll recognize supporting colleagues as part of our new 23 to 27 strategic plan. Beginning before the pandemic, COCC teams and task forces have been investing in improving, streamlining, and adding value to the classified and administrator annual and probationary evaluations. The use of People Admin is our next big step forward. What you see here is an image of the first page of the old paper classified evaluations. Please note that all the features of the paper evaluations appear within the People Admin electronic or digital evaluation. They're going to look different, but they're there. COCC People Admin Performance Evaluation Portal provides an automated workflow and electronic storage of documents. This process improves version control. In other words, People Admin helps supervisors and employees move through the performance evaluation process more efficiently. Instead of each person saving documents on their computer and feeling uncertain about whether they are using the most current, accurate, and complete version of the evaluation, all information is held in People Admin. With the rollout of COCC's performance evaluation portal, there are two ways to get to the evaluation portal. If you use the link listed in option 1 here, you will go directly to your dashboard in the COCC performance evaluation portal. And you'll get that direct link. You can see it here. It's in a number of places. You're also going to get it in an email when you have a task open up in People Admin. So that will appear in an email from my HR. If you use the link in option 2, you'll click on the gold lettering in the center of the page. And People Admin is single sign-on, so when you click on the gold letters, you'll be prompted to enter your COCC login information. For option 2, once you've logged into People Admin, you'll click on the 3 dots, and your People Admin may look a little bit different. This is a screenshot from mine, but those 3 dots are up there for everybody. And then you scroll on down the drop-down menu to where this big red arrow is, and you will see the COCC Performance Evaluation Portal. The links in blue shown here, they're also available on the intranet page for evaluations, in the document that was emailed out yesterday. And again, you're going to see this in emails as we go through the workflow. Let's take a look at an employee dashboard in the People Admin Performance Evaluation Portal. It is essential to note that the classified evaluation begins with the employee self-evaluation. Classified employees will get an email from MyHR that they have a task to complete in People Admin. The email will include a link to view the action item in the COCC Performance Evaluation Portal. That link will land an employee right here on this dashboard. So we're looking at Bobby Katsky here, and let's take a look at Bobby Katsky's performance evaluation dashboard. There are 5 steps for every classified evaluation, and they are shown here. The content of the People Admin evaluation contains all the components of the paper evaluation with 2 notable new features. The first feature is that fact I just mentioned, that the workflow begins with an employee self-evaluation. The employee self-evaluation is also known as the plan. So some of these things I am going to say a few times. Bear with me. I know I'm repeating myself, but having done this training a few times, there are a few things that might help some information stick. So notice the 2 red arrows. The one next to the gray box with the number 1 in it is pointing to the first step in the evaluation process. That's the employee self-evaluation. The second red arrow is pointing to the word plan. It's kind of grayed out there, but it's there. The plan, again, same thing as the self-evaluation. These 2 locations, when that plan turns blue over to the left, they're going to lead to the same place. So just don't let that throw you off. The self-evaluation is an important opportunity for classified employees to actively participate in the evaluation process by reflecting on the past year, considering areas of strengths and opportunities, and areas for growth. Please know that you do not, for the classified employees here, the self-evaluation does not need to be perfect. If you have any anxiety about that, if that was not part of your experience in previous evaluations, just know that don't let it stress you, okay? It's a good chance to do some early reflection, and then your supervisor will have a chance to take a look at that and will give some feedback in step number 2. Once classified evaluations open next week, Tuesday, classified employees will want to get into the People Admin portal as soon as possible and begin working on their self-evaluation. And in just a bit, we're going to look at a live People Admin evaluation instead of these static screens. Before we go to the second updated feature for performance evaluations in People Admin, let's look at a few important places on Bobby Katsky's dashboard. So we're going to start with the yellow arrow over on the left side. That is obviously Bobby's name, and Bobby's name is in bold there because this is Bobby's evaluation. Next, take a look at the green arrow over on the right side of the screen, and you're going to see Hello Bobby. This tells us that we're on Bobby's dashboard. Now, let's say, just because I can see Josh's face, so let's say that this was one of Josh Motenko's employees, and he was on his dashboard. Under the green arrow, it would say, hello, Josh. And over to the right, if Bobby Katsky reported to Josh, it would still say Bobby Katsky. It's Bobby's evaluation, but it's Josh's dashboard. Now, let's take a look at the purple arrow in the center of the screen. This column tells us who the owner of each task in the workflow is. So of the 5 tasks, the first one belongs to the employee, Bobby. The second one belongs to Bobby's supervisor, our CAT supervisor. The third one belongs to Bobby's supervisor. The fourth one belongs to Bobby, and the fifth one belongs to the second level approver. So that would be our CAT supervisor's supervisor. In this case, it's Jessica. So just know that the major work where a lot of information is being put in is step 1, step 2, 3, 4, and 5 are acknowledgement steps. All right, so let's take a look now at the red arrow. So that red arrow, we're back over on the left side. It's pointing to a blue text that says administrative assistant. That is Bobby Katsky's position or job description. So it is embedded in People Admin. You don't need to go looking for it. This should be the most recent job description. If you open that up and you see that it is not the most recent job description, please let me know and we will get that updated. But we updated all job descriptions very recently in here. So finally, let's take a look at that blue arrow. Again, that blue arrow is pointing at the blue text, employee complete self-evaluation. And that's the first task for Bobby to complete in this process. That gray box number 1, there's no arrow pointing to it, but that gray box number 1, once that task is open and available to Bobby, that box is going to turn orange. When Bobby completes the evaluation, the number 1 will turn green, and immediately upon Bobby completing her self-evaluation, step number 2 is going to turn orange, and it will open up for our CAT supervisor to do their work immediately. The email to our CAT supervisor saying, hey, you've got a task in People Admin takes overnight, but you do not have to wait overnight to actually get in there and access it. All right. So you may remember that I mentioned 2 new features that add additional meaning and value to the classified evaluation and People Admin. On the paper evaluation, there was space to address behavioral competencies. However, defining competencies can sometimes be challenging and time-consuming. So in People Admin, all classified evaluations share the same 3 competencies. That doesn't mean that there aren't additional competencies. It just means that when we looked across, we did a job analysis across many classified job descriptions. The 3 competencies that are listed in People Admin are the most common competencies necessary for classified employees to successfully perform the essential duties and tasks. Okay. The competencies, we're going to take a look at these live in just a few minutes. You're going to see that they have 3 bullet points underneath them. That does not mean that an employee necessarily has to fully accomplish all 3 of those. If those competency bullets don't necessarily apply to the employee that you're reviewing, use your critical thinking and go ahead and ignore it, okay? Because just think about the broad range of classified employees and the competencies and how they look for, let's say, lab tech may be very different than the competencies and how they look for an administrative assistant. But you'll see once we look at them, they are pretty universal. For now, remember that we're looking at the employee self-evaluation right here. We've clicked into it, and you'll notice that there is a red arrow pointing to the word plan. We know that the plan is the employee self-evaluation. And then finally, that yellow arrow is pointing to the words customer service. This is the first of the 3 competencies that we're going to take a look at, and we're going to jump there now. So I'm going to take a pause If you're thinking of questions, go ahead and drop them into the chat. And we are going to visit a new location here. So what we're going to be looking at is a training environment for people admin. It's not perfect, so hang in there with me. Cindy, the self-evaluation is absolutely required. Yes, you cannot move on to the next step. And for supervisors, again, it's going to sound as I'm going through this like this is very prescriptive here. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. There are ways to customize it. You can't actually customize the workflow in people admin. That'd be awful because then we have people all over the place. But for folks who are concerned, like I've never done a self-evaluation before with my employee, we highly recommend that you just plan a time to sit down, and as soon as your employee gets that email, bring them in, have a computer there, have them log in, open people admin, and just go through that self-evaluation the first time if there's any concern together. I can tell you this, we went through this in multiple iterations for probationary classified evaluations. And once people got in there, they were A-okay. They were fine. And those were people who have only been here for 6 months. I honestly think that some of the bumps will be from just kind of making that leap from kind of how we've always done it. So maybe those probationary employees had a leg up because they're like, they don't know how we've always done it. But yeah, this is the first step. So it may require some new forms of communication between supervisors and employees if you have a long-standing relationship with your employees, and this is a really different format for them and they haven't done this before. So just acknowledging that. All right. Is there a time frame for completing the self-evaluation? Yes. So we do have a timeline, and people admin, because it is a workflow, will notify the employee that they are nearing their deadline. Okay. The deadline for this is a little less than 2 weeks out. So if we open on Tuesday, the 30th, which is what we're planning on, you can plan that. Sorry, I just need to get my dates in front of me so I don't misspeak. You can plan that, ooh, I'm sorry, they are in my email. So now I need a calendar. You can plan that the employee self-evaluation will close on the 9th. Now, when I say close, don't get too afraid. Okay, this is a nudge. It's not a stick. Okay, this will not actually close so that the employee cannot finish it. What you will notice, though, let me get in here to share this screen so you can see what I'm going to be talking about. What you'll notice, this is now our training environment here. Over here on the right-hand side, there is a review status, and it's showing as open. Once the 9th rolls around, that's going to show as overdue. Okay, that doesn't mean that Bobby Katsky is not going to be able to get in there and do this. Supervisors, again, you have flexibility. If the 9th doesn't work for you, then say, hey, you're going to be getting some overdue notices. I need this done by the 14th. Okay, you can set your own deadline. Okay. But if you need it sooner, again, let your employee know. This is going to be open until the 9th for you to be able to do this, but I need you to complete it and move it on by the 7th so that we can get this all done. Okay? So again, the dates that we put in there into the software just helps to drive the language of the reminder emails. In some ways, that's going to sound a little arbitrary, Again, we can't, there is no good way to shut this off. That would be horrible. Okay. So let's take a quick look at this. We've already looked at this page in the slideshow. Let's now click on the employee completes self-evaluation. As we land on this page now, on the top of every step, there will be a blue box. We wish the contrast was a little better. I apologize. That's a programming thing. Unfortunately, we can't change. So, but the blue box has some very basic instructions. Step 1, for Bobby as the employee, contact your supervisor if you need direction or support for the self-evaluation, right? Just like we wouldn't just drop a piece of paper evaluation on somebody's desk and expect them to understand what should happen. A little bit of context from the supervisor may be helpful. And then step 2 is complete the self-evaluation plan. This is where we are. And again, from our experience with employees, they drop in here and they're like, oh, look, a text box. I should probably fill that out. And they go through and they fill it out. And then there's a big blue button that says they're going to save it as a draft or they're going to save and complete. Okay, it's pretty intuitive once they get in here. Across the top here, you'll see that there's a core competencies tab, a primary functions and goals tab, and an upcoming year goals tab. We'll look at all of these in a little bit of detail, but first I want to stay true to what I promised you I would do, which is let's look at the competencies. Okay, 3 competencies, every classified employee, customer service, interpersonal skills, and accountability. 3 bullet points underneath. So again, please use your good judgment and know that if you have someone who is doing a primarily data entry job, customer service may not look like forward-facing customer service, okay? It may look like internal stakeholder customer service. You may need to customize these bullets. These are starting points, all right? Nor are these all of the competencies that an employee may need to have. These are the basics, the foundations. When you get into here, this text box will expand exponentially. Please don't feel you need to fill it. If you are working with someone, let's say you're a supervisor and you have an employee who has a lot of thoughts and they're a great writer, you may want to tell them to limit their response to 3 or 4 sentences. Okay, you're going to see why in just a few minutes here. It can certainly, the program can certainly take a ton of text, but just know that you may want to just sort of prep your employee. I'm going to drop in some responses here. You're also going to notice these red asterisks. These are all required fields. Every text box in here is required. So something needs to be put in every text box. Do we have a number of characters that are required? Absolutely not. Okay. In some positions, you can be incredibly concise. All right. In other positions, more detail may be helpful. I'm just dropping in some basic text and right now, I'm going to save this as a draft because I need to go. I've got to get on to some other job and I need to, shut this down. Okay. I've just saved this draft. So the stuff that I put in here, I can come back to. All right. When I come back in, I may land here on my dashboard. I click back into Employee Completes Self-Evaluation. I know I've done this first tab with the competencies. I'm now going to click on Primary Functions and Goals. All right. Most of the time for employees who have been through their primary or their probationary evaluation, they will know their primary functions and goals. If you have someone in a new position, maybe they've been here at the college, but they're in a new position, you may not have defined primary functions yet. So you may need to do that work before they jump into their self-evaluation. I love People Admin in this format because it takes really good cut and paste. All right. So let's say you're emailing back and forth, you and your supervisor, and you're like, hey, I just want to verify these are my primary functions from last year. Are they the same for this year for when I jump into my self-evaluation? Supervisor, you may be proactive and say, hey, by the way, pull up last year's evaluation, that paper one, cut and paste your primary functions into the new People Admin version. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut and paste. You can enter primary functions in the box like this, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you can enter it like that. You can put all of the primary functions in one text box if you like. If you are someone who would prefer to separate primary functions by blocks, so this gray thing here is a block for primary functions. If you want to add a new block, you can click Add Entry, and now you've got, see, one primary function, two primary function. The only downside to that, again, you will see in just a minute, is it starts to make this document a really long scroll. It just adds more to the document. So whatever works best for your process, feel free to do it. We're all going to do a little trial and error this year and just see what we like best. Okay, so at this point, I am going to drop in some text in here so I can move forward. One of the quick things that I want to mention is if you click Remove Entry and then you save this, it is going to blank out these boxes, okay? It doesn't remove the box or the block. It just removes the text in the text boxes. We would love to just remove entry. However, it is hard programmed in there and we can't. So my advice is pretend it isn't there. Unless you really want to just blank out some space, some text boxes. All right, the next thing that you'll see here on this, where are we? Primary Functions and Goals tab. Under the primary functions, you'll see a check-in. And this is just a broad overall, how do you feel you're performing in your position? And that could be as short as, I feel I'm doing great, you know, or I feel most days are good, but when I have to run these reports, I feel like I'm a little clunky, okay? So don't overthink it, and do connect with your supervisor if you're struggling with like, how should this sound? This is another good place. Now we're on prior year goals. And I'm going to talk about why these are a great feature in People Admin in just a second. But for right now, I'm going to say your fastest way to fill this out, again, is going to be for this year only. Pull up last year's eval if you have it, or your probationary eval if you're new to the college, and cut and paste your prior year goals into these boxes. So I am going to just cut and paste. This is just going to be a quick example. I'm going to drop in a lot of text in these, okay? So you're typing in your prior year goal, steps and resources needed to achieve these goals. Again, that's from last year. So those are the steps that you identified last year. You're going to type those in. If you didn't have any steps, like if that was just not a thing that you had last year, just type NA into the box, okay? Not applicable. And then completion date, and this could be really short. It could be 5/23/23. That's when I got it done, okay? So you've got your prior year goals, you've done a quick check-in, and you've listed your primary functions and reflected a little bit about how you're doing with your primary functions, or if you feel there are areas for improvement. Again, we can save the draft. We can get out, we can come back. Last tab we've got is upcoming year goals. One last question. This is where, for the employee, you may want to think about some goals for the year. And if you're like, gosh, I don't know what my supervisor wants me to do for the year, don't worry about it. Your supervisor evaluation is going to have a place for your supervisor to finalize goals. But if you have something that you feel like you might want to address, then by all means, put it in here. Okay, so I'm just going to put something in there. And now we're done. Jump up here, see those instructions again at the top in the blue. Review your self-evaluation plan carefully before clicking complete. So you want to make sure that you've got something in every text box and that you're feeling okay about it. Like, yep, I thought about that. It's good. And at the end of the self-evaluation and goals tab, here you've got your complete. And once you click complete, you cannot reopen this. Okay. So again, don't worry. This is just a preliminary self-evaluation. We're going to click complete. And now, yay, green bar at the top, the plan has been marked complete. Let's take a really quick look here at what this looks like. So here's competencies. There's the answer that I dropped in. Competency, answer, competency, answer. All of these are your responses as an employee. There it is again. See, now here you can kind of see primary functions. If we'd listed them all in one block, we'd just have this one block. But because I added an entry, we've got another block here, just adds a little length to our scrolling. There's your check-in. Here's your prior year goal. See a fair amount of text in there, starts to make it bigger, a little chunkier. And you'll see this now when we get into the supervisor evaluation and then the upcoming year goals. Okay, so we are going to take a quick look here. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. And we're now going to go to the next step in the process and see what the supervisor evaluation looks like. So the evaluation is still only full-time classified and administrative employees, not a regular wage. Josh, you are correct. It's just classified. It would also be part-time classified. So full-time and part-time classified, both fall under the collective bargaining agreement, both get an evaluation, always due by the 15th of March. The administrative evaluation is going to look a little different in people admin, and we'll do training on that once we get into March. So no need to start doing evaluations for administrators yet. We're focusing primarily on classified employees right now. Okay, so thank you. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Time frame for complete. Okay, I think we're up to date. And here, let's go in and let's take a look at Bobby Katsky's supervisor evaluation. So once again, over here, we know we're in the supervisor's dashboard because we've got, hello, our cat. That is Bobby's supervisor. Task owner for number 2, and you can see now these are changing color as we move through the process. Task owner for task number 2 is the supervisor, and here's the supervisor evaluation. So full transparency, why did I have trainings that involve supervisors and employees? Because I want you to see what everybody's doing through this process. It just gives you a little bit more of a 360 understanding of what this process looks like for everybody. But for employees, you can take a big deep breath right now, like you've done your self-evaluation, and now this is work for the supervisor to do. Now, supervisors, you're going to help me out with this, okay? This is all still, like, I have tried this language so many times with different people, and the supervisor evaluation can really be adjusted in terms of when and how you fill it out according to your workflow. So let's say, supervisor, that you want to meet with somebody before you do a lot of typing. Well, you can go in here, open the supervisor evaluation, take a look at the blue information at the top. Notice that you've got 4 tabs here that you'll be completing. And also notice that as you scroll down, you have the same 3 competencies that your employee just looked at, and you have their comments from their self-evaluation, okay? And like I said, let's say that you're somebody who's like, I just really don't want to type all this stuff in here before I meet. I would rather just print this out. You can do this. Again, being mindful of the environment. I'm just going to say that. You can print it out. You could save it as a PDF if you wanted to. And you could just use this as your document for when you sit down and chat with the employee. If you do like to have some notes, then you could jump in here and you could start writing some notes in here just to prep. So we're going to go through this with the assumption that this is a great time for you as a supervisor to go through and read through what the employee wrote, maybe redirect in some places, like maybe their understanding and your understanding are not quite meeting. So you might make some notes for things you want to talk about. Just going to drop in some text here. Here's the check-in. Now remember, this question is going to look a little odd from a supervisor standpoint because you're like, how do you feel you're performing? You're not telling them how you feel you're performing as a supervisor, although that's never a bad conversation to have, but you are just responding to how the employee responded. So if they said, I am doing great, and you're thinking, you know, gosh, when we meet, I want to chat about when they appear really stressed because of deadlines. Okay, I might just type that in there for now. And then you've got the prior year goals. And let's say you want to say all goals met, great work. Okay, so now you're going to go on. We've now jumped to the third tab, upcoming year employee goals. Here's some information from the employee self-evaluation at the very top. And you're like, oh, okay, well, they would really like to do some diversity training this year. That's great. In addition to that, we have some other jobs that are, you know, really position related that I want to focus on. And again, you can type in here something like this. Okay, here's our goals. Goal 1 may be to improve some processes, to get out and interact with students more. Goal 3 may be to attend some diversity trainings. Now we're going to look at some steps here for what do you need to be able to accomplish those goals. And I'm just going to drop this big long list in there just to kind of get you thinking, like, there's a lot of things that somebody could need in order to achieve goals. Give this a little bit of thought. You all know this. You've done performance evaluations a lot. And then you're going to target completion dates. And you may, again, have different completion dates for different goals. Just going to type that in there. And we're going to save and continue. All right, at this point now, it's going to drop you into that last page, that last tab, where you can select if this is a probationary or annual. For all of you, this is going to be annual probably. And then meet standards. As always, again, full transparency for employees and supervisors. Supervisors, if someone is anywhere close to not meeting the standards or having unsatisfactory performance, please reach out to HR before completing the evaluation, before meeting with the employee. Please, we never want surprises at the annual evaluation. If something has been going on for a few months and you've not had a conversation about it, let's get in front of that and have those conversations. And not embed that into the evaluation at a late date. Okay, there is a supervisor summary. And here is where, remember, we had a couple tabs back, we had that check-in question. This is where a supervisor can indicate that the employee is performing job duties successfully and note any areas of exceptional performance. And this is really kind of that overall look. The employee is performing the job that is described in their job description. And then again, a little bit about what I just spoke about. There will be slightly different language in the live program, okay? We just added what was formerly on the paper form. So it's going to read just like the paper form. All right, so at this point, you've made some notes. You are getting ready to meet. And you can save this as a draft if you would like. And again, you can use this action button and print it, okay? If you were to say, wait, I'm all done, I'm gonna go ahead and complete that. Okie dokie. Oh, review type can't be blank. All right, so this red box, remember when we completed Bobby Katsky's, we got a green box, hooray, you're all done. If you've left any required text field blank, it's gonna tell you. Okay, so we need to put something in here. Okay, we're gonna hit complete. All right, in some parts of the college, some second level approvers like to be able to see the evaluation before it's delivered. Again, this would be a great chance or a great opportunity to use the print function. Those of you who aren't aware, this Dropbox drop-down menu here is very much like everywhere else on our Microsoft products. You can save this as a PDF, and then you can just email it to the second level approver. Hey, I'm just about ready to do Bobby Katsky's evaluation. Here's what I'm going to deliver. Take a look at it and let me know if you have any input. Sometimes we have some folks who have sort of two supervisors. One is a direct report and then one that you have a dotted line to. So if you've got a co-supervisor, so if you're a supervisor and you have a co-supervisor and you want to get their input on this evaluation before it's delivered, you can send them the PDF and say, hey, is there anything you want to add? They email you back some text. They say, oh, hey, I do want to add something. And you're like, wait, what? You're the supervisor and you're like, I completed this. I can't add anything. Not true. You can. Okay. Even if you hit complete, you can now go to the actions button, click return, and it will reopen it for you. Okay. So now you can add to this. This is also the feature that you would use if you completed this and you met offline, you had your face-to-face meeting, you had a great conversation, you had some things that you wanted to add. Oh, I forgot about that thing. And when we were meeting, Bobby mentioned this awesome thing that was done last year. I want to make sure I get that into my evaluation. Okay, so we've reopened it using the return button. Now we're going to go to the very end, back to that summary and review. And at this point, we're going to say we are actually truly done. We're going to complete it. Okay, we go back to the next step. So step 3, supervisors, take note. Step 2 and 3, those are yours. Okay, it doesn't move on until you've completed step 2 and 3. And what did I say? Step 3, 4, and 5 are all acknowledgement steps. Okay, so at this point, employee and supervisor meet offline. The finalized evaluation is showing here. You're going to scroll down, see how long it gets when we get all the information in there. And when you've got more text, obviously, it's going to be a long scroll, just be prepared. But wait, I wasn't done. You scroll through and you're like, darn it, I wasn't done. Supervisor returns it. You bump back. There you are. Supervisor evaluation. It's open again. You can make those final edits. Okay. But we are going to complete. Now you're really sure you're complete. Click on overview. Step 3 is open. You scroll all the way down for that final check. Supervisor, there's a return button there too. You can do it there. You got a couple of places, but now we know we're done. We're going to acknowledge. That's like your signature. And now this is going to move on and it's going to go back to Bobby. So let's take a quick look now back at Bobby's dashboard. Hey, so here we are. We know this is Bobby's dashboard. This is Bobby's eval, and hello, Bobby. Okay, and step number 4 has opened for Bobby. So all of you classified folk, here you go. Now you can tune back in. This is your step. So everything that the supervisor has done, When they returned it back, maybe they added some information from a dotted line supervisor or someone who thinks you're doing awesome and they wanted that in your evaluation. All of that has been completed. So you are now, employee, going to review your full evaluation. You're going to scroll to the bottom of the page to acknowledge the evaluation, and you're going to take note. This information that I have just highlighted here was on the paper evaluation, same exact stuff. So please note, the employee signature does not imply that the employee agrees with any or all of the evaluation remarks. Employee signature indicates that employee has been given an opportunity to participate in the process and has seen this evaluation. There is no part of this that the supervisor does that isn't seen by the employee, okay? No hidden backside to this. All right, so you scroll employee, you are scrolling all the way down. You've got this tiny little comment box, but again, it enlarges. You can put a lot of stuff in there, okay? If you need to. Hopefully you don't need to. Hopefully all you're putting is thanks. This was super helpful, okay? And then you are going to acknowledge. And now that has been completed, if you click on approvals and acknowledgement, you are going to see that Bobby acknowledged it. There's that note. Task owner shows as me simply because this is our training environment. This would normally be Bobby Katsky's name there. And this shows us the date and time that it was completed. Okay. So at this point, the only other thing left, the only other step left is the second level supervisor approval. And just a reminder that as soon as Bobby clicked acknowledge, this task is going to open for Jessica to go in, review, and approve. All right. So we have just taken a whirlwind tour of the classified evaluations, and we are at about 10 minutes to 12. So if you've got questions, please feel free at this point to unmute. You can drop them in chat. Any questions that you've got, please let me know. Oh my goodness. And it's crickets. Okay. All right. I'm going to show you one or two just final things here really quick. Okay. So old, new. Okay. So again, there will be a document that shows these workflow steps that I'll post on the evaluation site. So if you like forget what they are, or you want to see like, what is my employee seeing? Because all I'm seeing is mine as a supervisor, or employee, you're like, what is my supervisor seeing? You can kind of see what these steps and the instructions look like. That'll be out there. I'm going to do a quick, you don't have to read through this. This is just like full transparency. I'm going to go through some of the bullet points. Again, the bullet points here are from all of the training that we've done and the things that people have come back with as far as questions and things they want to know. Reminder, reminder, reminder. This is one thing that people often kind of heard but didn't really hear. As soon as a step is completed or acknowledged, the next step will immediately open. All right. I don't know if you noticed, but supervisors, if you're nervous, like maybe I'm typing in just some kind of notes for myself, is my employee going to see that? They are not going to see it until you acknowledge the meet offline step. Okay, so if you are doing a draft of your evaluation and you don't want your employee to see it yet until it's tidied up, then don't say yes and acknowledge the offline meeting step, because that will then open your supervisor evaluation for them to see it. Okay, please read the information in the blue box at the top of each step. I say this not because that information is so critical. I say that because it is very easy when you're in a new program to get overwhelmed and you like, I don't know where to look. Start with that blue box at the top. Get yourself grounded. Okay. Let's see. Remember that goals and primary functions are generally determined collaboratively between the employee and the supervisor. In some cases, the supervisor alone may determine the goals and primary functions. So, a lot of times we have people who have one job description, but we have multiple people under that job description. Those primary functions are generally the same for everybody, and we don't have Joe, frontline employee over here saying like, no, my primary functions are totally different than Jane, frontline employee. Okay, so just know that that process can vary from employee and supervisor across the college, but generally it's a collaborative process. Know that if you're somebody who doesn't want to like take paper notes, you want to live edit this, you can open this up when you have your face-to-face meeting, supervisors, and you can type right there, like save time, type into the text boxes while you're meeting. Okay, don't have the computer between you, but maybe you just, want to have it open. You can face your employee and type at the same time. If you have an employee who likes to have a paper copy of the evaluation in front of them before you meet, use that print PDF or use that paper print and give them a copy so they can take a look at it. How many DISC people do we have in the room who might be Cs? They like to be prepared. Okay, so yeah, think about that. Would they like to have a copy before you meet? Absolutely, you can totally do that here. Okay. Unlike the employee self-evaluation, which cannot be edited once it's completed, the supervisor evaluation can be reopened. Okay, so that's the major difference between those two. You can reopen the supervisor evaluation, self-evaluation, once you're done, it's done. Okay. Let's see. One thing I missed stating, this is why I go through my bullets. I missed stating this. When the employee acknowledges the final evaluation in step 4, there is a return button. So let's say that the supervisors reviewed it and they're like, we're all good, and they complete it. It goes on to the employee evaluation. But when the employee is reviewing it, they're like, wait, we talked about this one great thing that I did, and I don't see it in here. They can actually click return. It'll reopen for the supervisor. You do have to do a little nudge, like, so employee, you may need to say, hey, remember when we talked about, that project that I did that you really liked? I don't see it in my evaluation. I returned it to you. The supervisor can jump back in there, add that, and then move it back to the employee for acknowledgement. Okay. Only the supervisor can edit that evaluation though. So just because the employee can return it to the supervisor doesn't mean that the employee can actually edit the supervisor evaluation. All right. Here is what I was looking for earlier. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Okay, what you're looking at here, these are the steps. And again, to Frank's question, yes, we will open the self-evaluation. It will be live on next week, Tuesday. Why is it not open now? Well, we want to give a little bit of time to get some folks trained, and we don't want to hit people on Monday morning with it. So just know Tuesday, it's going to open up, and then the due date is the 9th. Okay, supervisors, you are autonomous humans. You can say, I actually don't need it until the 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to me. Okay. Or you can say, you know what? I've got so many evaluations to do. I need all of my classified folks to get this done by the 7th. Okay. But those overdue notices, those emails are going to start coming to employees on the 9th. From there, the supervisor evaluation is open until the 23rd. When I say it's open, it is open until it's final, okay? You're not going to get kicked out, but around the 23rd of February, you're going to start getting nudges, right? And then the employee supervisor meet offline. Again, you can see we sort of, we gave you a couple of weeks for each step. And then the employee acknowledges the final evaluation. You got a week in between when the meeting takes place, the employee acknowledges, and then the second level supervisor approval. That is our due date. We need the second level supervisors to get in there and approve these by the 15th to meet our contractual deadline based on the classified association bargaining agreement. There will be a reminder that will come out for all second level supervisors. I will be sending them a nudge before this to just pay attention. Hey, look for this email. They won't get an email to sign though until the employee has signed. So again, employees, make sure you jump in there and get it signed. Okay, with that, now any questions?
Thanks, Rachel. This was a good training. I really
Oh.
like the color coding, and it seems like across campus there's a lot of improvement, something like process improvement going on to modernize different processes. Campus Services is doing that with their new software, and the fiscal department is doing that with the credit card reconciliation. So it's all like impressive stuff these days, I think.
Yeah, and thank you, Josh, for saying that. And just to acknowledge too, for everybody in the room, I know that change is hard and it is a lot of change. So please hang on in there and keep a good sense of humor, and just, my email, please jump on in. Kyle, you are so glad you missed the paper era. I have had paper evaluations. Occasionally, I have gotten 6 versions of one person's evaluation because nobody knew who was sending it, and one came in that didn't have all the signatures, and one came in that wasn't complete. So, and it wasn't like, that's not about me. That's just like folks are doing a lot of work with the paper, and this will actually streamline. Oh, one final thing that I missed. Oh, I've got 1 minute to like highlight this. The new goals for this year that you put in this annual evaluation will flow through to next year. So they will automatically appear in next year's annual evaluation. Again, one of those small automation pieces that we hope will make things much better next year. I can't believe I forgot that. So, all right, with that, it's 12 o'clock. I will hang out here if anybody else has any questions. Thank you so much. We're so glad you were here. Thank you for being excited too. And have a great weekend.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Anne.
Thanks, Rachel.
You betcha. You betcha.
Rachel, I had a quick question for you.
Absolutely.
So my 6 months and the yearly things fall like on the same, like within 2 weeks. I don't know if you and Jamie have like talked about that.
We have a little email back and forth about it. So however, I've kind of lost the plot in terms of like when the probationary evaluation. Are you done with that? Have you been through that?
No, so that's the 28th, February 28th or 29th or March,
Okay.
like one of those.
Okay, so you are in our special group. We're gonna have a few people in this bucket, and I'll be reaching out next week with a little more information. I try
Okay.
not to just fire hose everybody, but here's what we're gonna ask that you do, and it's gonna take a little bit of patience, but what we're gonna ask that you do to kind of get everybody level set for next year is go ahead and do the probationary evaluation, because we want to have all the evaluations in your file. So do the probationary evaluation, and it's likely you're going to see your annual evaluation open up. So you're going to now have 2.
Okay.
Just cut and paste, make a match. If there is a longer term goal that maybe Jamie wants to add for your annual, you might add one additional goal in your annual. But if it's identical, if you two agree, like we're doing the evaluation, there is no reason to do, something different, because all of the questions are the same the process is really identical. There's one more step in the probationary evaluation, and that is just the initial supervisor prep for you. So nothing more for you to do. So you can probably just cut and paste all of the information, get it complete. And again, that's going to bump from your acknowledgement. Let's see. So Jamie will acknowledge it. You'll acknowledge it. Now I'm drawing a blank. Who is Jamie's direct supervisor?
Julie.
Julie. Okay. So yeah, poor Julie will get like two of them to review, and she'll probably be like, these are identical. So again, we'll do our best to kind of prep the second level supervisors. Like, you may see two identical, like it's okay.
Right. It's on
Yeah.
purpose.
It is on purpose. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so
Okay.
perfect. Thank you.
Great. And what that does too is that helps us with our tracking, because you're going to get your probationary increase, and then you will get at the end of the fiscal year, starting July 1, you'll get your next bump up for your successful annual evaluation.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you. And it's I don't know that, have we met in person? I'm trying to remember.
It's hard to say. I don't know. It's kind of maybe.
It's okay. But it's good to at least meet you, like,
Yes.
sort of face to face here. So
So,
right on. Well, have a great weekend, Jenna.
yes, you as well.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.